We already starting with the foolishness. Early. That man hates you. You have some nerve. Are you out your godforsaken mind? Testing. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. The topic for today is going to be money and family. We have quite a few stories, but some of them don't have updates because they're brand new. So we'll have to wait for the updates. Hopefully we do get some. Everything, of course, is included in the description. Also, I wanted to show you guys, hold on. This is one of our hoodies that I will be offering as merch. It says call your therapist. Now, a couple things that I'm going to change. I'm going to make the text a little bit smaller and a little bit lower. I had okay, this was a first sample. And as you can see, it's a little bit lower on the chest. You might not be able to tell. It's very slight. It's very slightly smaller and a little bit slightly lower. The only reason I didn't like this hoodie is because of the quality. So I was testing it out for a couple of months, wearing it, washing it, seeing how it was. I like this brand hoodie much better, but I just need to tweak this. I'm wearing a large. I normally wear a medium, but I like stuff oversized, and it's quite long. Actually, it's pretty long, but yeah, I like this one. So I'll put this one up. I also have some coffee mugs and some hats. That's what we're gonna start with. Then we'll get into the other designs and stuff, but we'll just start there. So I always get compliments on when I was wearing the first sample. I got compliments on it all the time from people like, oh my God, I love your hoodie. Cause it's just so funny. Call your therapist. You need to. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the stories. Now, this first story, I'm not exactly sure if it's real because the account is kind of sketchy, and then the only way we can get updates is if we go to the YouTube. So it was is this an actual story, or are you just trying to get people to go to your YouTube? So it was a little sketchy, but it sounded interesting all the same. So I'm still gonna read it. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband with our 2-week-old baby after he spent our entire maternity leave savings on a new truck without telling me? I'm 29, he's 33. We've been married for 4 years. I got pregnant last year and we both knew money would be tight. I work in medical billing, he's in construction. My job offers maternity leave, but it's unpaid. 12 weeks of nothing. I did the math over and over and kept coming to the same number. We couldn't afford it. Not with rent, his truck payment, his old truck, insurance, and all of it. I told him 6 months before my due date, I was crying at the kitchen table with our bills spread out. I can't take the full 12 weeks. We'll lose the apartment. He grabbed my hand and said, don't worry about it. I'll figure something out. You focus on staying healthy. I trusted him. I'm an idiot. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday via emergency C-section. She came 5 weeks early. I was in the hospital for 4 days. He visited twice. We already starting with the foolishness. Early. If your wife is in the hospital having your child via emergency C-section 5 weeks early at that. So this is not some planned thing. There were risks involved, higher than normal risks. She was in the hospital for 4 days and you was only there half the time as her husband. See, and me and my friends were just talking about this the other day. I don't want to get on a tangent, y'all, but I don't want to go on another tangent, y'all, but some men are so useless when it comes to parenthood. It's not even funny. And I hate for it to sound like such a blanket statement, but that is the reality that I see, that I have seen time and time again, where men feel like the only thing that they have to do when it comes to raising a child, or really, if we're being real, the only thing they know how to do when it comes to having a family, having children, is providing money. They don't know how to provide time, emotional safety, a listening ear, actually being a father to the children, taking over bath times, I'm telling you, I used to work at a pediatric emergency room years ago, but I worked there for several years. And I would see it time and time again. The fathers would not know the kids' birthdays. They wouldn't know their medications. They wouldn't know the schools they went to. They wouldn't know the insurance. They wouldn't know anything. And I'm like, this is your child. This is your child. You should know all of this information. Oh, well, let me just call the mom. Your kid over here bleeding out in need of emergency care, and we can't even barely get the process started because you don't know shit, because you're useless. Then you'd see them in the rooms on their phone, checked out, ducked off in a corner somewhere where the mom is at the bedside tending to the child, being the only one really paying attention to anything that the doctor is saying or paying attention to the child at all, really. I really think that period in my life, because there was a time in life where I was like, yeah, maybe I'll have kids, whatever. Like, yeah, I want to have kids. But I really feel like my time working at the pediatric emergency room really like opened my eyes. And I was like, I don't want to do this if I'm going to be just like all of these other married single moms, or even the single mothers who weren't with the father, but the father still wasn't active or trying to do anything. Like, why would I want to do that? That's why I always say that is one of my like main stipulations for if I want to have a kid or not. I really, really, really have to feel that the person that I'm with is going to be a good father. And it's interesting because someone can be a good partner to you and still not have the ability to be a good father. And at the end of the day, if you do decide to have kids, you have to be prepared to do it alone. If you're not okay with the idea of raising a child alone, don't have kids, because anything can happen. So at the end of the day, that's what you really have to have in your head. So tangent over. Let me go back to the story. Tangent over. So anyway, yeah, she was in the hospital 4 days. He only visited twice. He said work was slammed and he needed to pick up extra shifts for us. I was too exhausted and in too much pain to fight about it. 2 weeks later, I'm home, barely able to stand up straight because my incision hurts like hell, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go back to work in 4 weeks instead of 12. My boss already emailed asking when I would be back. I hadn't responded yet. That's crazy of the boss to do. My husband comes home one evening and he's in the best mood I've seen in months. Smiling, whistling. I'm sitting on the couch holding our daughter, wearing the same milk-stained shirt for the third day, and he walks past me to grab a beer. I asked, "Did you have a good day?" He said, "Great day." Something felt off. He kept checking his phone and grinning. Around 9 p.m., he showered and said he was going to bed early. He left his work bag on the floor. I shouldn't have looked, but our daughter wouldn't sleep and I was losing my mind from exhaustion, and I saw papers sticking out of the front pocket. Lease agreement, brand new truck, Toyota Tacoma fully loaded, his signature at the bottom. Start date 2 days after I gave birth. My hands started shaking. I pulled out more papers, insurance documents, registration. The monthly payment was $740. I woke him up. "What is this?" He sat up, saw the papers, and his face went red. Not embarrassed red, angry red. He asked, "You went through my stuff?" I said, "How did you pay for this? The down payment alone is..." He said, "I used the savings," like it was obvious, and mentioned that we needed a reliable vehicle. I couldn't breathe right and told him that was our emergency fund that was for me to take maternity leave. He said, "You'll go back to work. It's not a big deal. Women do it all the time." Oh, please. This is irking me so bad. This is irking me so bad. Women do it all the time? She literally has... This lady just went through major surgery. And then let's not discount the fact that she was pregnant she had the baby early. So 8 months, 7.5 months prior to this. So everything that has to go into actually growing the baby in your body, all those changes and stuff. And you expect her to go back to work in a month and then talking about some women do it all the time? I would leave immediately. You and your truck, I hope y'all have a good time together. That would make me so angry. He said, "Women do it all the time." She said, "In 4 weeks, I can barely walk. I'm still bleeding." He said, "Then figure it out faster," and laid back down, saying, "I need sleep. I have work in the morning." That man hates you. He hates you. There's no loving husband is going to say something like that to his wife, ever. That's insane. She said, "I stood there holding those papers, everything in my body screaming. I walked out of the bedroom and called my mom at 10 p.m. She drove 2 hours and picked me and baby up that night. I've been at my parents' for 5 days. He's called 6 times. The first 3 calls, he yelled about me being dramatic. The 4th call, he said I'm punishing him for providing. The 5th call, he cried and said he thought I'd be happy he got a safe vehicle for our family. The 6th call this morning, he said if I don't come home by Friday, he's going to cancel my health insurance since I'm on his plan. Wow. My mom says I should file for divorce. My dad already called the lawyer, but I keep thinking about our daughter and how she's 2 weeks old, and maybe I'm ruining her life over one stupid mistake he made. My sister says I'm not overreacting. My best friend says I am, that all men are selfish sometimes, and I knew who I married. So I guess I'm asking, am I the a-hole for leaving with our newborn because he bought a truck? You're not the a-hole. And I strongly dislike when people reduce these convoluted events to like this one single thing, the straw that broke the camel's back. You're not divorcing him, or you're not leaving him because he bought a truck. You're leaving him because of the pattern of choices that he made that led us here. Let's not forget that you was in the hospital for emergency surgery for 4 days and he only came to see you twice. Talking about he was backed up at work. Then he spent the maternity leave savings, expected you to go back to work bleeding with incisions in 4 weeks, making monetary decisions for the family on behalf of the family without consulting you at all. It's just a myriad of things that he has done wrong. And maybe your friend is right. She says you knew who you married, and you probably did. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that makes sense. That tracks. I just feel like this just doesn't come out of nowhere. The way that he's acting, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. That's insane. Somebody said, not the a-hole. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. This was not a mistake, and your life and your daughter's life will continue to get worse if you stay with a man who doesn't care about anyone but himself. Not only can he not provide, but he has taken what you provided for your baby. I really cannot emphasize how terrible this situation is. He stole 2 months of healing and bonding from you. This is time you'll never get back if you go back to him. Stay with your parents, quit your job, spend the start of your daughter's life with her. Someone else said, I agree. The only thing I don't agree with is quitting the job. Don't do that. But instead of only taking 4 weeks, I would take the full 12 weeks and then go back to work, because she is allowed to have that full 12 weeks. She's not going to be getting paid either way if she quits or not. But at least if she doesn't quit, she can go back to work and be making some money, because she's going to need it. So don't quit the job. Let's not get too crazy here. But someone said, I agree. Let him figure out how he's going to pay child support. Contact a lawyer so you can force him to keep you on his insurance. From someone who is divorced, save yourself years of agony and get rid of this guy. He's shown you that he doesn't respect you or your well-being. It will just go downhill from here. I completely agree. Someone said, get a lawyer. Child support comes before truck payments. The court will force him to be responsible for his child, even if he doesn't want to. And a $740 monthly car payment is crazy. That is crazy. Now, it's been some years since I bought my car and I paid it off, but it wasn't even half that, my car payment. How much was my car payment? Yeah, it wasn't even half. It was less than half that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think, no, that's too high. I think everyone is pretty much saying the same thing. Again, I don't know if this story is actually real. It seems a little sus. At the very least, it was entertaining, but maybe they'll post updates. But the link that they have here for the updates goes to a YouTube channel. So I'm like, at least it was some good discourse. So the next story, am I the a-hole for telling my family they can reconnect with my bank account the same time they reconnected with me? Growing up, I was always the ghost of the family gatherings. My parents favored my older brother and younger sister, who were both stellar athletes and social butterflies. I was the quiet one who liked reading and coding. I wasn't just overlooked, I was actively ignored. My opinions were dismissed. My achievements, like getting into my dream college on scholarship, were met with a shrug, and I was often left out of major family discussions or vacations. When I moved out for college, the silence was deafeningly mutual. I tried a few times to reach out, sending cards or making calls, but my messages went unanswered or were returned with one-word replies. I eventually stopped trying and built my own life, creating my own chosen family with friends who actually supported me. I changed my number, moved cities after graduating, and faded completely from their lives 5 years ago. It hurt, but the peace was worth it. Now, my parents are facing a financial crisis. A bad investment wiped out a significant chunk of their retirement savings, and they're facing potential foreclosure on the house I grew up in. Out of the blue, my sister texted me last week. The text started with, "We miss you so much. It's been too long," followed quickly by a detailed explanation of their financial plight and the exact figure they need to save the house. You got some audacity, really, at an all-time high. You have some nerve. Wow. They said they want me to lend them a substantial amount of money, nearly half of my life savings. I called my sister back and very calmly asked her, when was the last time any of you genuinely asked how I was doing without needing something from me? She got defensive, talking about family obligations and how I was being selfish. I refused point blank. I told her that they had made it abundantly clear for 20 years that I was not a priority or even a consideration in their family unit, and that my money would go towards the people who actually showed up for me when I needed support. I told them they could reconnect with my bank account the same time they found the time to reconnect with me emotionally, which was never. They're calling me cold-hearted and saying I'm letting my parents become homeless out of spite. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And my thing is always, if you didn't have the money, then what would they do? Have them do that. If you were not there, what would they do? Let that be the main option. The thing that I have learned over the years with giving people money and trying to help out, and once you say no, people figure it out quickly. Somehow, once you say no, they find a way. And so say no more often. Even regardless of the lack of relationship between the family, even if they did have a good relationship is what I'm trying to say. Asking someone to lend you half of their life savings to help you out of a bind is crazy. So the answer would still be no. If we're being real, I might, if I was this person, decide to give a little gift to help out, but at the end of the day, no, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to figure it out. I'm sorry. Somebody said, why don't your sister and brother help your parents? Someone else said, because they're probably losers from being coddled. OP responded, they both don't make that much to help my parents, so they come running back to me. Someone else said, that's not your problem. OP responded, yep, that's why I'm not helping them with a cent. Another person, tell them to move back home and help pay the bills, or sell the house for whatever they can get and rent a 3-bedroom apartment. Sounds like they deserve each other. Oh wait, they have each other. That's a good plan too. Someone said, your parents didn't just make one bad investment. They made at least 3, and your brother and sister are the investments that are really going to make them homeless. Your parents are losers and they picked losers. Go live your life. And then people are giving them advice to freeze their credit, change the phone number, get a Google Voice phone number, etc. But yeah, that's insane. No update yet on this one. Hopefully we can get one. Wow. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my inheritance with the siblings who are now threatening to sue me for undue influence? What is undue influence? Undue influence is a psychological process by which a person's free will and judgment is supplanted by that of another. Influence by which a person is induced to act otherwise than by their own free will or without adequate attention to the consequences. Basically, manipulation, basically. So it says, my father passed away a few months ago. In his will, he left his entire estate to me, explicitly disinheriting my brother Mark, 40 male, and my sister Jenna, 38 female. The thing is, 10 years ago, my father gave them $150,000 each as an advance on their inheritance to start businesses because they begged and begged. He had a lot of money back then, so it wasn't much to him. Both of them blew it within 2 years, vacations, cars, etc., and had the nerve to ask him for more. When he refused, they got cruel. They stopped visiting, wouldn't let him see his grandkids, and badmouthed him to the entire family, claiming he was a miser who was hoarding their money. Oh, I would have disinherited them too. I know you lying, and I hope they aren't able to contest the will either. That's insane. How you gonna call somebody a miser because they don't want to give you none of their money? He was generous enough to give them $150K and a $150K advance. Now, granted, $150K is not going to last you, that long. But if you're still working, have a full-time business or whatever, and you're just using that as a supplement and you're trying to start a business with it, you can do a lot with that. And they blew it. Talking about he hoarding the money. He worked all his life to get that money. Man, the entitlement of some. OP said, I was the one who was there for him. I took him to doctor's appointments, helped him with his finances without ever touching a dime for myself because unlike my siblings, I have a great job that I worked hard for and was with him in hospice when he passed away. It was just me and him at the end. His will is ironclad, written by his longtime lawyer, and includes a clause stating they received their share during my lifetime. Mark and Jenna are furious. They've been blowing up my phone and saying I poisoned him against them. They're bad-mouthing me to the family, and I'm getting phone calls from relatives that I should help them. Now they've hired a lawyer, and today I was served papers. They are threatening to contest the will, claiming I took advantage of our father in his old age and used undue influence to get him to cut them out. They offered to drop the lawsuit if I just give them $100K each. I told them to get lost and that I would never give them a single cent of our father's money after how they treated him. I am so angry I can barely speak. Am I the a-hole for telling them I'd see them in court and refusing to give them anything? I'm honestly worried that fighting this in court will take more in legal fees than just paying them, but I'm so angry that I need an outside opinion because I've lost perspective. I would take it to court because my thing is they probably can't afford the legal fees themselves to even fight this. So really you got the upper hand. They're the ones asking for money. So obviously they ain't got it. I would take it to court and not the a-hole. Obviously they sound like terrible people. Somebody said, not the a-hole, don't give them a cent. They are bluffing. They can try to sue, but they would need some proof in order for the trial to take place. As they don't have anything, the trial probably won't even happen. OP responded, I thought the same thing until I got served papers and it all became real. I'm going to call a lawyer once I stop fuming. I just hate the idea of losing any money at all over this. The worst is I feel like I'm the only one in this family who's grieving, and I'm just so drained over all of this. It's been a very long few months. Also, I really like my nieces and nephews. The idea of not seeing them again is awful. You're not going to see them again ever either way, unfortunately. With siblings like that, it's always going to be something. The goalpost is going to continue to move. If you give them $100K now, they're going to be asking for more money later. They're going to be using the nieces and nephews as pawns. Unfortunately, this is the reality of the situation. At this point, just get a dog. Or go volunteer at the YMCA or sign up for Big Brother, Big Sisters of America or something, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm actually being serious because it's clear that your sister and brother have issues. There's nothing you can do for them. There's nothing you can give them that is going to make this right for them in their minds. There's nothing you could do for people like this. So just give it a rest. Someone said, not the a-hole. I worked for a lawyer, and what he told me once was that it is very difficult to prove undue influence. From what you've shared here, it doesn't sound like they have much of a case, but I'm assuming you now have a lawyer yourself. Stop talking to your siblings and direct any further questions to your lawyer. Ditto, other relatives, stop talking to them. Be very firm on this point. Tell them I have nothing more to say, and then just tell the siblings to contact your attorney. OP responded, thank you, that's good to hear. I have no idea how all of this stuff works, and I just Don't want to get bled dry with legal fees after all the crap they've pulled over the years. I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow to start dealing with this. Someone said, how do they even have money for this? OP responded, I have no clue. They're both broke and terrible with money. That's what I'm saying. They ain't got no money. Like whoever else said, they're bluffing. They're hoping that you just settle them out. Just give them the 100K because you don't want to fight it. They don't have the money to fight this. Someone else said, contact the lawyer who helped your father with his will. That's what I was thinking. OP responded, thank you. Why didn't I think of this? It's been such a long few months. I have an appointment with an attorney tomorrow, but I'll call him now. Ooh-wee. 3 days later, there was an update. Just wanted to make a quick update. Thanks to everyone who suggested contacting the lawyer who drew up the will. I sent him all of the papers and texts I'd received, and it turned out that sending people texts in California that say things like, it won't stop until you give us the money, is considered criminal extortion by letter, which is a felony. He contacted their lawyer, and it turns out they lied to him about a lot of things, and he was not enthused about the extortion. Everything fell apart pretty fast, and it didn't cost me anything. I'll probably never see my nieces and nephews again, at least not until they're much older, and the other family members are angry at me because they feel the extortion was actually my fault for giving them no other options. I decided I'm going to just move away and find peace elsewhere after I'm done dealing with the estate. Yeah, because why y'all even coming to me? He better than me. Like, nobody would even have access to even say anything to me for real. Like, don't come to me. I really don't care what you got to say. Other family members, y'all not even a part of this. They said, I can't believe things got so ugly over money, but I'm out. Some people commented in my original post that they'd had similar experiences, and I really feel for you all. It's a really unfair position to be put in, and there's a helpless element to it that just sucks. I learned a valuable lesson about the importance of keeping receipts. Someone said, did you file a police report? They said, no, I just want to be done with it and move away from here. There's a 2-year statute of limitations, so if they make me change my mind, I will, but I'm pretty sure their lawyer will explain how bad of an idea that would be. Someone else, thanks for the update. People get really unhinged when death and money are involved. Glad you'll be able to get some space, and I'm sorry for your loss. Let me see if there's any other... No other update. I'm glad they was able to handle that quickly. I knew the siblings were bluffing. I knew. Cause what y'all talking about, son? Oh, just give us 100K. Y'all ain't even got the money to even be suing. Next story, am I the a-hole for refusing to hire my embezzling brother after my family threw me a, quote, retirement party to stop asking me for money? Oh, my dad called me a selfish bee yesterday because I won't give my embezzling brother a job at my company after they literally threw me a party to tell me I was being cut off. I'm 34 female, and I've been my family's ATM since I was 24. I started my own tech consulting firm right out of college, and it took off faster than anyone expected. My parents and my brother, 31 male, were struggling, so I helped. Dad's business was failing, mom had medical bills, brother couldn't hold down a job. Fine, I paid dad's commercial lease for 3 years. A commercial lease for 3 years? That's basically like paying somebody rent. I mean, it is. It's paying someone's rent for 3 years. She said, I also covered mom's surgery and physical therapy. I gave my brother loans that he never paid back for his rent, his car payments, his certifications that he never finished. 10 years of this. I'm not exaggerating when I say I've given them over $400,000. 400. That is an average of $40K a year. I couldn't imagine just shelling out $40K a year to someone that's not like an employee, someone doing business for me, someone working for me. $40K a year, just giving it out. That's insane. That's somebody's salary. Opie said, I have spreadsheets because my accountant kept warning me about it. Then last month, my brother finally landed a senior analyst position at some financial firm. Decent salary, benefits, the works. My parents were ecstatic. They insisted on throwing a family celebration dinner at this nice restaurant. I thought it was for my brother's new job. I was wrong. My dad stood up halfway through dinner and made a toast. He thanked me for, quote, supporting the family through hard times, end quote, and said that now that my brother had stepped up and became the man we always knew he could be, they were officially graduating me from my financial duties. Those were his exact words. My mom was nodding all along, smiling like this was heartwarming. My brother looked smug as hell. Then my dad said, "We're calling this your retirement party. You've done enough. We don't need your money anymore." That is actually really crazy to me. Unless they, I don't know what their cultural background is, but that's actually really insane to me that they even feel comfortable having the idea that the daughter is the one but financially floating the family. At some point, it gets to a point where you have to start to think, how can I be financially independent on my own, and not have to rely on my child who's not even, she's in her early 30s. You're relying on your child in her late 20s, early 30s to float your lifestyle? You're relying on your sister who's in her late 20s, early 30s to float your lifestyle. For 10 years, I understand people fall on hard times and this and this and that, but for 10 years, that is giving oh, we don't even have to try because we know OP gonna come through. OP got us. And then to be so brazen, to throw her a party, talking about you've done enough. We don't need your money anymore. Almost as if it was her job to even do that. She did that out the kindness of her heart. Too much kindness, if you ask me. And then on top of that, seeing the brother's new job as their new stream of income. It's just all so weird. I don't understand the thought process. Oh, now your brother got a new job, so you good. We're going to rely on him now. How about you get a job? How about you get a job? How about you try to do something? Oh, yeah. Anyway, the dad said, "You've done enough. We don't need your money anymore." Everyone at the table clapped. My aunt, my uncle, my grandma, like I'd just been honorably discharged. I sat there holding my wine glass thinking I'd entered the twilight zone. I paid for that dinner, by the way. They stuck me with the $600 tab saying, "One last time." I didn't make a scene. I smiled, said congratulations to my brother and left. Then I blocked all their numbers except my dad's so I could handle actual emergencies. 3 weeks later, my dad calls at 6 a.m. My brother got arrested at work. FBI agents walked him out in handcuffs in front of everyone. Turns out he'd been embezzling from client accounts. They're saying he stole over $200,000 in the 4 months he worked there. How do you even $200K in 4 months? Now, if only the brother could have applied that level of ingenuity to a legitimate business model, he could be just as successful as the sister is. But no, you gotta be an embezzler. You gotta be a criminal. She said his fancy job gone. He's looking at federal charges and his lawyer says he'll probably do time. My dad was hysterical on the phone, crying, begging me to help pay for a better lawyer. I said no. He called me cold, said family helps family. I reminded him I'd been retired from my financial duties. He said that was different. That was a celebration. This is an emergency. I hung up. Then yesterday, the real crap show started. My brother's girlfriend left him and he moved back in with my parents. Dad called me and asked if I could give our boy a chance by hiring him at my firm once this blows over. He actually said blows over. About federal embezzlement charges. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I said there was no universe where I'd hire someone facing federal charges at my company, family or not. Plus, I don't hire thieves. My dad lost it, started screaming that I was abandoning my brother when he needed me most, that I'd always been selfish with my money, that I clearly never cared about family. My mom grabbed the phone and told me I was being vindictive and holding a grudge over a silly party. She said my brother made one mistake and I was acting like he murdered someone. One mistake? $200,000 in theft? Okay. My brother then sent a long text from my dad's phone about how he'd hit rock bottom and needed support, how he'd always looked up to me, how he'd pay me back someday if I just helped him now. The same crap he'd said 10 years ago about the $8,000 I gave him for starting his own business that never existed. I did not respond. Now my extended family is getting involved. My aunt says I should at least help with the lawyer because he's still my brother. My uncle said I'm being cruel during a crisis. My grandma left me a voicemail saying she's disappointed in the person I've become. The person I become is someone who spent a decade being a bank and got a retirement party as a thank you. And now they want me to fund my brother's legal defense for stealing from people the same way he stole from me for years, just without the paperwork. But they're playing the family card hard, and part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. He is my brother, even if he's a disaster. Maybe I should help with the lawyer, at least. Am I the a-hole? Nope. And again, like I said, when you start saying no, people start figuring it out. When you say no, miraculously, other options become available. Miraculously, they start thinking of other things that they can do. Miraculously, somehow, they end up figuring it out. So, no. And you've helped enough. And no, I'm not finna help you with a criminal charge. You stole $200K. I got my own firm to worry about. I can't be tied to that. No. Somebody said creative writing project at best. So fake. Loki, I don't think I'm going to read any more from this page because I feel like all of these stories are fake. They are fake. These stories are inspired by real events and real people, but we write and adapt them ourselves for entertainment. Sometimes we mix different situations to make the drama more fun to follow. We're not copying anyone else's work. These are our own takes on real life. I knew it was fake. I don't like that. I mean, at the end of the day, half these stories could be fake anyway. I don't know. I'll see. I'll have to think about if I want to read any more stories from this subreddit. What do y'all think? Let me know. It's not the same when you know that it's not real. Like, it's like, yeah, we can read a story and be like, is this real or not? But when they outright it's like, no, it's not real, then it's like, why am I even reading this? At the very least, it was entertaining, but I don't know if I'll read any more from them. Here's another short one. Am I the jerk for kicking my brother out after he tried to charge me for extra work? My brother needed a place to crash a few months ago. I have space, so I said fine, but only for a bit while he gets back on his feet. He's unemployed right now with no income. I give him $100 a week to keep the place clean, so he has some cash in his pocket. Vacuuming, dishes, bathroom, basic stuff. Last week, I hand him his $100 and he goes, actually, you owe me more than that. I'm like, what? He says he's been doing extra work that I'm not paying him for. Apparently, he's been taking my dog on walks in the afternoons. I walk my dog every morning and night, but he takes him out with him when he goes out. He says dog walkers charge $25 per walk, so that's $125 a week on top of the $100. The way I would have kicked his ass out right then and there. You need to leave. Bye. What are you talking about? We didn't even agree on that at all. You owe me. You know what? And that's what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you, because he really ain't even have to give you the $100. Honestly, you keeping the place clean and vacuuming and doing all that, that could just be what you need to do in exchange to even just stay there. So OP giving you the $100 on top of that was exceedingly generous, honestly. And then you want to try to capitalize, well, I walk the dog. Yeah, are you out your godforsaken mind? I walk the the dog. I'm a dog walk you too if you quit playing. Opie said then he mentions he organized all my old photos and documents into this album thing. Says that kind of work goes for like $75 on Etsy or whatever. I told him I never asked him to do any of that. He argues that it falls under keeping the house nice and that I'm basically exploiting him. The irony that he says OP is exploiting him when he's the one exploiting OP. I told him to pack his stuff and get out. It's not even about the money. I have plenty. It's the audacity of trying to bill me when I'm literally letting him live here for free and giving him cash. Exactly. That's not. Some people, man, you just can't help some people. The better way for the brother to have gone about that anyway would have been to have a conversation prior to so that they could agree on an amount, additional duties, or whatever. But you can't just do things without the person even asking you to do it and then try to bill them later when there was no contractual agreement for that to even occur in the first place. And then just be, well, you actually owe me, I don't owe you shit, but a kick in the rear if you don't get out of my house. Oh man. Somebody said this man really tried to spin walking my dog because you were bored into a paid service. Getting kicked out was the softest consequence he could have gotten. Wow, people are saying this story was recycled too. Well, they said that this story is posted already. It's a repost, but basically in the previous version, it was a sister instead of a brother. Child, really gotta get it together, child. But you know, these days with AI and all this stuff, hopefully this one is a real story. Would I be the a-hole if I let my mom fail financially? For context, I, 51 female, and my mom, 73 female, have had a contentious relationship since I was 12 or so. She is diagnosed borderline personality disorder, and it's all about her, although she tries to look like the good guy whenever she can. We have been low contact for the last 5 years. She moved 8 hours away with my brother, 45 male, and removed me as executor of her estate and as her, what is POA? I forgot what POA means. Power of attorney. Yes, that's what it is. As her power of attorney, and unfriended me on Facebook. Since then, her new executor has died and the newest is currently in Australia. We are in Canada. The current executor is also power of attorney and cannot or will not make phone calls to Canada while they're away. Let me be crystal clear. I don't want her money or her stuff. I don't care if I have any medical or financial power over her life. And when I saw her this fall, I had planned for that to be the last time. Her and my brother's living situation fell apart. She was diagnosed with dementia, and she is currently living in an assisted living facility. She is declining and fast. She couldn't remember my husband's name when we were there. My brother has been living up closer to me since she moved into the facility in April. So the problem, she owes money. It's in collection with some of it, and she is potentially at risk for homelessness if it doesn't get cleared or corrected. The people who are currently responsible for her are in Australia. My brother is easily overwhelmed and crashes out frequently, and, well, I am the one who has the best understanding and contacts for how to manage this situation. My life involves an adult child with autism, epilepsy, and a brain tumor. God. And a daughter who needs support while she and her husband fight for equal access to his kids, as well as my other 2 adult sons who live out of town with their respective families. I am in my final year of nursing school and have always been the main breadwinner in my household. So for the last 4 years, I have been working full-time, mostly nights. I just woke up from a 22-hour day/night shift combo, and I have medical issues of my own. For the first time in 4 years, I don't wonder if my marriage is going to fail. So that's a good thing in my life. My husband is incredibly supportive. All that to say, I'm busy. So would I be the a-hole if I let her fail, knowing that she doesn't have the mental capacity to fix the problem and neither does my brother? The reason I say no, not the a-hole, is because those are the people that she chose to care for her. So let them do just that. Let them do the jobs that they were hired for. And you were not hired. In fact, you look like you was fired. So just for that simple fact, not to mention all that extra stuff you said you got going on, your child got a brain tumor, your kids fighting for their kids act, that's a lot. Now, if you wanted to, you could potentially send your brother over resources or try to send him some information that you know that could help, because I mean, he's the one, it looked like he's the one that's supposed to be dealing with all this stuff. They're the ones that moved away, and you got this person in Australia supposed to be helping, and this and this and that. Like, let's take the dementia completely out of it, because when she was in her right mind, those are the decisions that she made about who she wanted to care for her at her end of life. And so, like I said, if you wanted to, you said you have a good understanding, if you wanted to try and impart that knowledge onto your brother, but as far as just taking the reins and driving the ship, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Someone said, I know society tells us we owe everything to our parents, but not all parents have earned any sort of consideration. Abusiveness is one factor in deciding what to do. It sounds like your mother was an abusive piece of crap. You deserved better. Your mother made her choices, and now she gets to live with them. Let go of the guilt. Focus on your own complicated life. Right. Someone said, you're not responsible for another adult issues, parent or child, but I am curious, as I never put this into consideration, how would Canada actually deal with this? Would they literally boot your mom out of the assisted living facility? Does that mean the universal health care doesn't fully cover extended life care? Opie responded, likely there would be some sort of intervention by the ministry, and she'd be placed under a guardianship. Long-term care is 80% of someone's income, regardless of the income, in public facilities. I did not pick a palate cleanser for today. And if I go try to look for one now, child, it's going to take days for this video to go up. So we're just going to have to end it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.